afternoon, everybody. Welcome into a special Maize and Blue review. Good afternoon, Michigan football. I'm Dennis Fithian. Special because it is Michigan-Ohio State preview here on Black Friday. And I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving yesterday. As we get ready to kick this one off, we'll be here over the next 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes talking about the game tomorrow and where we are at. Less than 24 hours, about 23 hours away from kickoff, and it's what everybody's been waiting for all year long. And Michigan with a special chance this time around to beat Ohio State for the second year in a row. Beat Ohio State in Columbus for the first time in a very long time, since the year 2000. To be able to go back to back on Ohio State, it would mean a lot of things. And we're here to talk about that. But it would feel like, and I think it would mean, a changing of the guard. And, you don't have to be that old to have experienced Ohio State putting together quite a run in this series. If you're a little bit older, you may remember when Michigan owned this series and then it flipped. If Michigan wins tomorrow, feeling that this thing has flipped back the Maize and Blues way would be pretty compelling. Winning two in a row, certainly could say they're on their way. And, you can only line them up once a year and play them, but winning two in a row would be something that would make you feel pretty good about that. And, not to mention that you'd be on your way back to Indianapolis again for the Big Ten title game to take on Iowa or Purdue. And then the CFB playoffs would await the Final Four. And if they win tomorrow, they're not an absolute shoo-in, but it would feel like that. It would not feel like Michigan would be stopped in the Big Ten championship game. It would feel like they would be going into the Final Four. And last year, I was, and so were you. You were happy that they were just there. You were happy that they were there. It was the first time. It was just like Indy. It was like walking around like, wow, look at this place. Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Field, the Big Ten championship game. You had to take it from a lot of your rival fans about you need a road map to Indy and all that. And Michigan got there and they won. And then they were able to get to the college football playoff. And this time around, it felt like, yeah, they belong. This time, felt like, they were able to get accustomed to what it was all about, the college football playoff. And this time around, feel like it would be different. But first things first, got to win that game tomorrow. And it's not going to be easy, down in C-Bus. It never is. But is this team up to the task of winning in Columbus tomorrow? Jim Harbaugh in his 8th season takes his team down there. And the first thing you're wondering about is, what about Michigan's MVP? Are they going to have him? Are they going to have Blake Corum? And the answer to that is maybe. They might have Blake Corum, and that's as good a news as I can give you on this Friday. I'm not sitting here ruling Blake Corum out. I'm not doing that at all. You want to see what we're talking about? Well, let's get to it. Concerning Blake Corum, if you want to know the latest, I was just looking at the Maize and Blue review, and Josh Henschke, the publisher of MBR, yesterday said he was unplugging and he was going to enjoy Thanksgiving. Well, Henschke lied. I don't know. I think he did enjoy Thanksgiving. He was telling everybody, happy Thanksgiving, everything, but he was not unplugging. In fact, he was, plugging in everything that he had, because he came back and then he's like, I've got this story. I've got that story. I got a little bit more here. I got more there. And that just matched what he was doing all week long. So you want to be right up to speed on what's going on with Michigan heading into this game tomorrow. You already know, if you've listened to me about signing up for the Maize and Blue Review, you're like, yeah, you know what? That was a smart move. That was a great suggestion by you, Dennis. I did it. And I do feel like I know everything that's going on before everyone else, because you do. Go ahead, Maize and Blue Review. Go to michigan.rivals.com. We will see you over there. Now, as far as today, I'll give you some keys to the game. I've got a prediction, and we'll start with talking about Michigan and Ohio State. And that does start with Blake Corum. And, college football, they don't have the designations like the pros. And you get practice reports like, so and so practiced on a limited basis. So and so didn't practice at all. This guy is probable. This guy, well, they don't put probable, questionable. Used to be probable. Questionable, doubtful. And back on Monday, if I had to put a label, the designation of the questionable or doubtful or out on Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, for that matter, I would have put doubtful on number 2 for the Wolverines and number 7. And to Tuesday, I would have done that after, looking into the situation. It didn't look that good. And I know we had saw the video of Corum bouncing around, passing out turkeys. That was encouraging. So was the other stuff, from Saturday, from the coach and all of that. But doubtful was the designation that I put on him. But things have changed as the week has gone. The week has gone by here, and as we got into the holiday weekend, which we are into right now, it's different. That designation, I would say, has been bumped up to questionable. So I think today is a big day for Corum and how that knee feels after what he went through yesterday, trying to test it for tomorrow. And if it responds and he doesn't have setbacks to what he went through yesterday, today, then tomorrow, there's a good chance that you might be able to see Michigan's MVP on the sideline and out there and getting the first carry for Michigan. That is where it's at right now. And as for the rest, you could go through a litany of players. I would say overall, I'm not going to list the 10 different guys that have had issues. I think there's about that many. Let me see here. How many? We can actually go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7, so not 10. All right, guys. I think most of them, if not all of them, have a chance to participate and play in this game. Player or two, I think game time decision, might have to put on 1 or 2 of them, but mostly the up arrow next to all of those players, which, and you want, like I said, more and specifics, head over to the Maize and Blue Review, and, you can see for yourself about what Josh Henschke is saying about it. Antoine, the coach. It's good to see him. There's Richard. It's good to see Richard too. I know he's got a different avatar. He's talking about recruiting would flip for sure. Recruiting. Speaking of recruiting, that reminds me, Richard, Michigan just got some good news on the recruiting trail. Let's get to that. I think it's breaking news. That's the breaking news sounder. Michigan got a verbal commitment for the class of 2023, and he comes from Ohio. The day before Michigan plays Ohio State, Michigan picks up a 3-star athlete out of Cincinnati, Ohio, Breeon Ismail. 3-star athlete out of Cincy, 17th verbal commitment for this class of 23. I think that he's going to play on the defensive side. Defensive side of the ball as an outside linebacker right now. Big kid, 6'5", I think he goes. I don't have the particulars in front of me. Maybe I do. But the three-star athlete is 6'5", 204 right now, and looks to be he play when you say athlete, they're figuring out he's going to play on the offensive side or defensive side, but probably the defensive side right now, but maybe on the offensive side. So Michigan cashing in and picking up a verbal commitment ahead of the game tomorrow. So, it's something everybody's looking forward to for sure, but there it is for Michigan and the verbal commitment in Breeon Ismail. All right. So, see where everybody's at. You have any questions? You have any comments? We would like to see and hear, hear what you have to say. Certainly see what you have to say. I will read your comments as, we prepare our 23 hours again. Richard, let's eat. See who's going to eat tomorrow for Michigan after yesterday. Here's Antoine, the coach, with a point. He says people are out there trying to get others to disrespect Michigan's schedule, but I think maybe, depending on the USC game against Notre Dame and TCU and Clemson, Michigan still has a chance with an L. Well, you're right about that, Antoine. Michigan still does have a chance, and certainly having Notre Dame lose a game, LSU lose a game, Clemson lose a game. Who else did you mention in there? Notre Dame, TCU, Clemson. Oh, yeah, USC losing to Notre Dame, those three. I think you're right about that. Look, both of those things can be true. I mean, you want to defend Michigan's schedule, and you can look at the other SEC teams that, play 8 conference games, and you can look through those 4 non-conference games you have, in 3 of them, you can say, these are 3 real easy ones, and it's true. And when you put it up there, you say, yeah, Michigan's just doing it like the SEC. And I think there's a point to that. I think there's also a point to not scheduling in the Big Ten, not scheduling Power 5 teams. And this is where I sit. Like, is it legitimate criticism that Michigan has played a soft schedule? And the answer to that is it's legitimate. It's true. They're taking this year and they're taking next year and they're trying to do it like the SEC. They're just trying to schedule W's. They're trying to get into the college football playoff. And it just so happens that this year the Big Ten is down. Big Ten did not have a lot of good teams, and Michigan did not have a lot of good teams on their schedule. And they really, when you look at it, you say, who are their best wins? Well, Penn State's their best win. After that, Iowa, is their best win. It stands out. They are getting dinged for it. They are getting dinged for it the most because in the offseason, everybody looked at it and said, this is garbage. And, there was some truth to that. I say accept it as a Michigan fan. The real truth to it is when you look at the strength of schedule number. And, Michigan, when you look at the 6 or 7 teams that are up for consideration, that strength of schedule, Michigan has the worst strength of schedule number. So there's no yeah, but what about that's what the SOS is. If you want to go through and say, well, the SOS is subjective anyways, because it can be manipulated. Okay, that's fine. But I mean, at some point you got to look at it. Only North Carolina, Central Florida, and Cincinnati and the entire top 25 have a worse strength of schedule than Michigan. So I don't know. Michigan's, the part about them not having a strong schedule overall is true, but I don't know if you can, but both of those things are true. They can still get in with a loss. And, it's a lot of it tomorrow. You might not want to consider this today. There'll be a lot of people watching this game. Will be the most watched game ever. Back in 2006, it was before the college football playoff, right? There's been 8 college football playoffs. So back in 2006, you had the, BCS. In the 2006 game, Michigan, Ohio State, the winner automatically, there was no Big Ten championship game either, automatically went to the championship game. So that was the most watched game ever, Michigan, Ohio State. And so this time around, you don't automatically advance to the championship game, the winner tomorrow. You advance to the Big Ten championship game. If you win that, and you advance to the college football playoff, and then you advance to the championship game. Back in 06, you automatically won this game, boom, right to the championship game. So there are going to be a lot of people watching this game. It's two undefeated teams, most of the best players in all of the Big Ten, and certainly two of the top three teams in the country are playing in Columbus. And the players either play, for Ohio State or Michigan. So it'll be off the charts in terms of viewership. And so if Michigan goes out there, we've seen it before. And you think about boxing, when Ali took on Frazier, you knew that those guys were going to fight again. And then you knew when they fought, you wanted to see a trilogy. And it's like that. You knew when Fury and Wilder here recently were fighting, you're like, you want to see those guys fight again. My favorite, trilogy in boxing was Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward. Those guys put on such a great show that every time they fought, you just wanted to see it again. And they left it all out there. The point here is that Michigan and Ohio State play a dandy tomorrow, and they play a doozy, and the whole country's watching. You say, you know what? Both of those teams deserve to be in the college football Final Four. And that's where there shouldn't be any funny business if, like some of those teams that Antoine was talking about, drop their games. Michigan or Ohio State would then be a live selection, and you would have that sentiment across the country that, let's put that the loser of that game in, because it was such an outstanding game. I think the committee could be swayed by that. And remember, the committee can do whatever they want. They talk about this and that. The committee, here's the best way, as much as we've said here every week and broke down what your boo has had to say, Boo Corrigan. The committee does what the committee wants to do. And if the committee wants to put a Big Ten team in there when it comes down to it, and there's a path to do it, and they feel like it'd be great for ratings and most of the country wants to see it, they'll put them in there. The country wants it, the committee will be like, we really thought that was a meaningful game. And everybody will complain, yeah, but what? The committee will just say, this is it. And so there is that chance. See it and how that will play out. Let's see. People speculating on Blake Corum, and you have no doubt, you understand people speculating on Michigan's MVP and the chances that he's going to play. HT says, punch him in the mouth. Just like last year, control the line of scrimmage. This team doesn't think Ohio State is physical. This team don't think Ohio State is physical. 2 or 3 deep shots downfield, and let's get out of there with a dub. Well, yeah, a couple deep shots down the field connecting. That would be kind of a surprise. But I think Michigan's ticket, as you, HT, put up there, I am with you. As I think the two biggest keys. Now, this week I said get to 30 points, and I do believe that. I think if Michigan can get to 30 points, I think the defense can hold Ohio State under 30. So, yeah, 30-29, 31-30. Michigan gets to 30 points. I think you feel really good. That feels like a magic number to me, 30 points in this game. But Michigan, they won it last year, as HT points out, being physical on both sides of the ball. If Michigan is able to run the ball, Michigan has been able to run the ball all year long. Michigan, heading back to last year, their identity, we saw it against Washington when they were sitting there and they just kept running the ball. And everybody was like, I hope they don't just keep running the ball. And then they came out and ran the ball in the second half. Ran it 56 times. And then everybody was like, yeah, but they're going to have to throw, and they're going to have to throw. And yeah, they threw once in a while, but their identity was smash mouth and running the football. And they took that all the way into the final regular season game of the year. And that's what they did against Ohio State. And that's why they won that game. And they took that into the college football playoffs. And then the whole offseason, I sat here and said, they're going to have to throw the football a lot more. Look at the quarterback. Look at all the skill players. They're going to have to throw it. Look at even the two running backs. Look at Corum. Look at Edwards. Both of these guys can catch the ball coming out of the backfield. They're going to throw the football a lot more. No, it was more like last year than any kind of evolution of, it was still, the identity is run the ball. If Michigan is going to win the game tomorrow, it's going to be because they're running the ball. I don't see, so anything can happen as we sit here, but I don't foresee Michigan going in with some kind of game plan of, we're going to throw it all over the yard in Columbus. Yeah, it's going to be 50 and sunny. Let's just unleash the downfield passing game. Let's go pass happy against the Buckeyes. That's going to be the game plan. Says nobody. Michigan spends a portion of every practice, whenever they practice, all through the spring, even when they're playing in the season, they spend one of the periods practicing specifically for the game tomorrow. So will they have a wrinkle or two? You say, yeah, but what about, a double pass or, sure. They're going to have something that's going to be worked in there. I mean, what are you going to do every practice? If you're practicing for Ohio State, they'll have worked on a special, an Ohio State special or two for sure. And maybe that does, get them something, a big play or, even a score. But if Michigan's going to win the game, it's going to be because they are lining up with their offensive line, firing off the ball and handing it off to number 2 or number 7. And that's the way that it's going to get done. Supplemented there by maybe number 9, little run pass option, hitting some passes, likely to Ronnie Brown, Luke Schoolmaker, maybe Donovan Edwards. And, then you start sprinkling some other guys in. Hey, Roman Wilson. But I don't think you're going to get into the game tomorrow and Michigan's leading receiver is going to be A.J. Henney or, Andrew Anthony is going to have, 6 catches for 200 yards. Or now maybe they could take a deep shot to Andrew Anthony and he'll hang on to one of those. Same thing, Cornelius Johnson, those 2 guys. Maybe Roman Wilson when you're talking about the deep threat, but I'm not counting on when you haven't done it through 11 games and it's just not clicking and it looks more like you're pressing in that aspect of the game. I'm going to go with everything that's been working and I'm going to guess that that's what they're going to do. And they're going to run the ball. And that's going to be the key to victory for Michigan tomorrow. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward, but I think sometimes it's sitting out there right in front of you. You don't have to go very far talking about anything else. Michigan needs to run the ball to win the game. And that's what they're going to try to do. And that's going to be the game plan. And we'll see if they're going to be effective doing it. On the other side of the ball, Ohio State has some outstanding wide receivers. We know that. How is Michigan going to combat that? Well, if they're able to get a pass rush, if they're able to pressure C.J. Stroud, if Mike Morris, Taylor Upshaw, Yabi Oki, who else do you want to put in there? Jalen Hero. Derek Moore. If those guys are able to put pressure on C.J. Stroud, that is going to help the Michigan secondary. Jymon Green and DJ Turner, Will Johnson, Agent Zero, Mike Sanders still. Those things work hand in hand. You tell me that Michigan's going to get a rush up front, I'm going to tell you it's going to be more advantageous for Michigan's corners staying with the outstanding wide receivers for Ohio State. You can only cover for so long that if you're able to stand back there, it's going to be advantage offense. It's advantage offense anywhere because they know where the ball's going. So there are going to be some shots taken and there are going to be some completions. You want to look for some other keys? We've talked about them this week. I'll look to 2 more on the defensive side. I don't think there can be more than 3 explosives. So if Michigan can hold Ohio State offensively to less than 4 big plays. That would be plays of 20 or more yards. To me, that's a big key for the Wolverines. You're going to see 5, 10, 15-yard passes, but you don't want the pass going over your head, and you don't want more than 3 of those explosives, or you're getting into trouble where you're going to have to score north of 30 points if you're Michigan. They're going to hit some plays, and so how do you do that? You have the pass rush, you cover well, and you tackle. Guy hits a play over there, 5 yards, 10 yards, put him on the ground. Don't let the yak those yards after catch. Those can hurt you. Get those guys on the ground. So there's 2 of the keys over on the defensive side. But if I'm boiling it down, I'm looking at the 2: run the ball, pressure the quarterback for Michigan as we take a look at it. HT talked about punching him in the mouth. Let's see what the coach has to say. Tomorrow, all we need, this is from the coach, AJ, all we need JJ to do is to be extremely efficient and complete the easy ones. We don't necessarily need the deep shot to take the first thing open. Take the first thing open. I buy that. I buy where you're at. I feel it. You're right. It doesn't have to be down the field, bombs away. Just go out there, make the easy throws, and complete them. Pepper Schoolmaker, get the ball down to Ronnie Bell on some nice 15-yard outs. Hit these guys down the seam a little bit further out there. There are plays to be made. It can happen. John watched his highlight video. He's going to be good. He's talking about Michigan's newest recruit. That's good. I like that. I have not yet watched the highlight reel. So, John, you're in front of me. Here's old Hadley. It must be Ohio State week if Hadley is, up at 1:30 in the afternoon. Philly E is supposed to be on the chat today. So just so you know, another thing we need to do Saturday is make sure we can get to JT and take him out of his rhythm and maybe throw some interceptions. This feels like it's a feedback from 2018. CJ, you mean JT, CJ? I'm with you. Yeah, well, Hadley, you're right in on the key. Pressure the quarterback. I would love to see some Philly E taking it back to radio in Ann Arbor. See what Shane has to say. Oh, Shane, you're a little bit younger than I thought. I picture when I see the feedback, like I know what Hadley looks like. I've never met Hadley, but I've seen a picture of him from Twitter, and I've talked to him a number of times. Shane, I thought, would look a little older. But Shane says starting line from week 1 is back with Keegan and Trente mauling. That would be nice. I don't know that for sure. I think that's some wishful thinking as we sit here. Shane, hopefully. Trente Jones is back. 53 is back. He played last week. Will they have Trente Jones back starting for Carson Barnhart at right tackle? I'm not sure of that. Maybe. Barnhart, if you would have talked about this being a month ago, I'd have said, yeah, they'll put Jones back in there. But Barnhart has elevated his game in these last few, but maybe that that they would put Jones back over there, but I'm not sure about Keegan. I don't know where you're getting your information from. If this is more of a hopeful feedback, that would be nice. Let's see more from the feedback coming in from Jesse, who says, if Michigan beats OSU in the shoe on Saturday, do you think they could do it again in the playoffs? Ooh, that's a nice question, Jesse. My gut in first reaction is yes. I do think so. I think that they you say this in sports, and it's difficult. They say this in the pros, like when you play a divisional foe. They say it's tough to beat a team 3 times. And so they play like the Lions will play in division. You play the Packers twice, and you meet them in the playoffs, and you say, oh, it's tough to beat a team 3 times in a row. Is it tough to beat a team 2 times in a row? I would say that if Michigan can go down to Columbus and win in a hostile territory, and then knowing, and I know Ohio State's injured too, and then you're talking about seeing them in a semifinal, which will be on New Year's Eve or on the 9th of January for a championship game. And what are we sitting here? Tomorrow's the 26th. So you would have over 4 weeks of rest, and you're going to be playing in a neutral site. So I would give that advantage if Michigan won the game. Because you're saying if they win the game tomorrow, do you think that they could do it again in the playoffs? Yes. And if they met them in a championship game, now we're talking about 4, 5, like 6 weeks where you would see Ohio State in a championship game. Do I think Michigan could beat Ohio State again in a championship game, again on a neutral field? The answer to that, I think, is yes. I think Georgia should be the number one team. I know they had their lowest output offensively against Kentucky last week. We know all the teams had some issues, including Michigan, who needed a last-second field goal to beat Illinois. But I don't think anybody thinks, even Georgia fans, feel like they're as good as Georgia was last year. And do you feel like Michigan is a better team this year? I feel like Michigan is. The more experience, I think when healthy. Like, I love Hassan Haskins, but I mean, do I think a healthy Blake Corum? Do I think a healthy Blake Corum and Haskins from last year are better than a healthy Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards this year? Just the different dimension that Edwards can bring to the game in the passing and the receiving game is different, is better. We talked about it all off season, Cade and JJ, what he brings with the running game. I do think right now when we're talking about the passing game, it was better with Cade McNamara, him taking some key shots than what we've seen. JJ down the field has struggled with, it just hasn't clicked with the receivers. He certainly could have been helped out. Guys making some catches. We wouldn't be talking about it as much, but we are, because they didn't make those catches. So it's something that's there, and they're pressing a little bit in the passing game. So it could be, but I think overall defensively, Michigan, at least they have statistically, they have been better. And, special teams about the same, all the same guys. I know they lost their long snapper and Caden Colasar, but yeah, I think this, with the experience, which is big in big games, I feel like they are a better team this year. This is Jesse's question. That was a good one. Here's FTC. He is saying, I still think Blake will play. Not fully healthy, but I think I think he's got the heart and soul and will give us all he's got. Well, the last part there, I think he's got the heart and soul and will give us all he's got. I think if Blake Corum can get through today after what he went through yesterday, and he's able to go out there and they green light him to be able to play, and he's in the backfield, he's no question going to give, he has the heart of a champion. He has all of those things. Everybody's rooting for him. Yeah. I don't think it's going to come down to a want or a toughness situation. I think it's going to come down to, sometimes, I don't know how many of us, I try to tell you, like, I've been injured before, and you get out there, it's nothing like these guys, but maybe a little bit when you've been injured and you just don't have the same confidence in yourself. Now, that's why let's just play the hypothetical game for just a couple seconds. If Blake Corum is out there at Michigan's first series and he's behind JJ McCarthy, we're all going to be sitting there watching the game. But we're really going to be interested. We're going to be interested in every play and everything that's going on. We're really going to be interested in how Corum looks the first time he has the ball. And if Blake Corum goes squirting through the line and looks like the Blake Corum that we've seen all year long, I feel like the excitement, you say you can't be any more excited. I mean, it's the pinnacle. It's going to be a powder keg. This thing is going to explode. I can't be any more excited. Well, then you picture yourself with Blake Corum because of the uncertainty, and you say, well, I don't know, he's probably 80% or hoping for, maybe 90. He gets out there and is doing, like they say, the Blake Corum things, jump cutting, moving around, running through guys, weaving through the secondary. Your excitement level, if it's already through the roof, I just don't know how you're going to be contained. I don't know, it's going to be, you're going to be delirious. Like, oh my God, he's out there. He's doing it. He's back. And I know these guys. I mean, these guys are the highest level of college football, and they have to, keep their composure. But I think if that line blows open a hole and everyone on that eastern sideline for Michigan, as they sit around down in the snake pit, if they see their teammate Corum looking like the Blake Corum that they've seen all year long, they're going to be through the roof and over the moon as well. It's going to energize them like no tomorrow. That's going to be tenfold of Willis Reed limping out of the court for the Knicks back in the 1970s. It's going to be, it'll mean everything. So, yeah, nice prediction. John doesn't want to let OSU in. Wait, my opinion, you can't let OSU in if we beat them and then not Michigan if they lose. Yeah, well, hopefully it would be nice to have you on the committee, John. Let's get John. Call up Boo Kerrigan. Let's get you on the committee if things don't go well. FTC's talking about Ohio State's schedule wasn't great either. And early on, Notre Dame was bad, but they've gotten better. But we should evaluate them as the team they played. Look at what USC did. I think you do both of those things. FTC, if you look back, that's not what the committee, you could say you want them to, be what they were then and not now. The truth is they're going to look at both of those things. And, Notre Dame is a big name. It's not like if Notre Dame was, East Carolina and they had the same strength of schedule and they were playing the same teams, Notre Dame's going to carry a little bit more weight. That's just the way it is. And the whole thing, like, they are who they are when you played them, and then they're not, it depends. I could take 12 of you and 6 of you would say, well, when you played them, they were the number 3 team in the country, and now they're not ranked. You would say, yeah, but they were number 3. And then the other 6 would say, yeah, but they're not ranked now. Which one is it? Those are some of the tough things when it comes down to being in the committee. I look at it and where the team is now, unless there's a bunch of injuries. Or if you got a bunch of guys back. But the one thing you have to put in, if it's in the preseason, we know that the polls are always going to be there, but how many times you hear anybody talking about college football? Everybody loves to say it. I don't like the polls. They shouldn't rank these teams until halfway through the season. Well, they're going to. I got news for you. As soon as the championship gets played the next day, somebody's going to put out a way too early top 25 for next year. And everybody's going to look, hey, are we in the top 25? People love themselves some top 25. Keep her going. Keep her going. Some destinations won't get comments. I don't understand that. I don't know why my one guy's got a $5 sign next to him. Does that mean $5? I get $5, or who's getting his $5? John says Alabama plays weak schedules every year. Tired of hating the schedule crap. Yeah. Well, you're tired of it. I won't talk. No more schedule talk. Oh, one more. The coach. He loves schedule talk. Let's see. Haters that get the bounce on the playoff. There are really no benefits of taking a hard schedule. Ask Notre Dame. Yeah, there is benefits. This is the last one. The benefits are winning the games, and the benefits are for your fans and the interest in your team. The benefits are if you have season tickets. Like, instead of Colorado State, Hawaii, and UConn, if it was Colorado State, Hawaii, and UCLA, people would have been a lot more excited to watch UCLA. And then if you would have won that Michigan strength of schedule, people wouldn't have been talking about it. And if you would have had that tucked in your back pocket, if you win it, it doesn't it doesn't help when you lose it. But when you win it, Antoine, it helps. Believe me, it helps. But you got to win it. You schedule it and then you win it. And sometimes you schedule it and you win it and people are like, yeah, the team's down. Like last year, like Washington. Like I was like that series going to Washington got canceled because of the pandemic. Washington at home, and I was like, woo, Washington, this is going to be great. Washington loses to Montana week 1. It's like, this game's going to suck. Sometimes that happens. I said I wasn't going to talk about scheduling, but TG Travis says there are no easy games. I'm going to read the rest of that, but your first sentence I disagree with already, Travis. Let's see what the rest of them have to say. You get out there on the field and try playing football against any college team. If you think it's easy playing football, it's a modern day gladiator event. Well, your last sentence, I'm going to agree with 100%. It is an everyday gladiator event. You got to be so tough to play the game, but there are easy games. Michigan's first 3 games, Travis, they were easy. They were real easy. They were super easy. They were so easy that Jim Harbaugh went into the regular season like saying, he couldn't come out and say this, but he could have. I'll put the decoder on it. We've got a real easy schedule. And we're going to let our competition, quarterback competition, where you could never do this if you had like, a tough non-conference game, wherever it was, even if it was the third one, you need to have your starter in there. You can't play any games or anything else. But this year, because of the ease, Travis, of the schedule, Michigan was like, let's just screw around and use this like an exhibition season. That's what they did. Of course, they can't say that, and Jim Harbaugh would never admit that, but that's what happened. You saw it. That's why they did what they did. That's why they played everybody when they played them. That's why we're going to rotate the QBs. Hey, we're going to let Cade start one. We're going to let JJ start the other. And then we're going to go from there. Because we got a super easy schedule. Guess what? They got the same thing next year. They're going to be able to do it. Everybody's talking schedules. Let's see. Here's some non-schedule talk. OSU won't be able to handle a healthy Michigan O-line. My key to the game, run the ball, account 22. If Michigan's O-line is healthy, and really what we're talking about, like I think Trevor Keegan, I know Ryan Hayes, you can make an argument, hey, he's Michigan's best offensive lineman. You might want to say all those Michigan's best offensive linemen. I was talking to some former Michigan offensive linemen this year, and they're saying they think Trevor Keegan is Michigan's best offensive lineman. It's a good argument. It'd be interesting to hear what Sharon Moore really thought. He's like, yeah, I like this guy, I like that guy. But all 3 of those guys, when you're talking about, and heading into the season, I think people would have said Zach Zinter's Michigan's best offensive lineman. He's their best pro prospect over at right guard. But midway through the season, we were saying that Keegan was the best. Since then, he's gone down. People are like, oh, Hayes, man, he's shooting up draft boards. Olu, one of the top centers in the country. That's you might be able to argue for 4/5 of the offensive line being, the best offensive lineman. And then you could say those 4 guys, those guys are all pros, not all pros, all professionals. All those guys are going to get drafted. And then, Barnhart, who was a guard, could play either tackle position. He's worth his weight in gold when you can get a swing tackle and somebody that can play every position on the offensive line. He's been tremendous, the filling in there. And Trente Jones, there's been a number of times when I've watched Michigan games, I'll rewatch them. Sometimes I'm sitting back there and, you'll watch either Corum or Donovan Edwards running the ball and they get into the second level. And then you're like, who's 53 that's like running down the field? It looks like it's Trente Jones. That guy, for his size and knowing that he's a road grader, it wouldn't surprise me if he ends up, being drafted either. So, this is a really good offensive line. And it's really good that they're a good offensive line because Michigan wants to run the ball and they want that to be their identity. Now, I don't know 100% if they're all healthy. I know people are like declaring it like, oh, these guys are healthy and they're going to be in there tomorrow. Maybe they will be. That'd be another thing that would be a big lift. We're sitting here talking about all these guys. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's ready to go. And the truth is, they could be really banged up. But, I'm not reading that, Antoine. I'm not reading any more schedule feedbacks. Let's see what Darby. Ooh, look at Darby. I'm growling because Darby's got a cool looking dog in his picture. I think we win tomorrow. And they put OSU in to see a rematch. I expect to play them twice this year because I think we're going to win tomorrow. There you go, Darby. Account 22. Since 2000, every team who has won the rushing total has won the game. Account 22, what did I hear making that point? I don't remember exactly, but I was like, that's a nice one. It's a nice one to have going for you. And, Michigan's got a really good running attack. I think that bodes well. Coach wanted to talk more about scheduling. Richard wants to look for a fake punt tomorrow on a short 4th down. Yeah, I can see that. I can see some tricks, here or there. You said, they work on it all year long. Every day of every time that they are allowed to practice, they put something in for Ohio State. And, some of those are going to be special plays. They get a look on a punt. I could see them doing that. A special. I do think it's coming down to the trenches. Excuse me. And who wins the game. But, yeah, there's going to be some of that. More scheduling. Count 22 with a prediction. Will Johnson will have an interception. I like that. Richard likes that. Let's see. Well, we've got the love lines coming in. It's a block and tackle type situation. Yeah, I'm with you. Shane and Count 22 speculating on injuries. I'm not sure where you guys get your information from, and they're saying things about like, oh yeah, this guy, that guy, and I may have heard some of the same things, but not really. So I don't. Our stuff isn't completely lining up. HT wants to limit the Buckeyes' possessions. JJ has to have his best game of the season along with our edge rushers. You know what? I like where you're coming from. And I think JJ can have his best game. What has been JJ's best game? I thought JJ played his best against Iowa. First drive, went right down the field, calm, cool, collective, dealt with the crowd noise. I like how he played in that game. You know, Michigan up 13-0, 20-0, up 27-7 with just 8 seconds. It's either that one or Penn State. You know, he had that pick that went for a touchdown in the first half. The Michigan came out. You know, those were back-to-back huge runs. What, a 67-yard run from Donovan Edwards? Or no, I'm sorry, it was a 67-yard run from 67 from Donovan Edwards, 61 from Blake Corum. So, you know, was that his best game? And let's see. Besides, I would say Iowa. It certainly wasn't Maryland. It doesn't matter. Sorry, we'll talk about the non-conference schedule. It's got to be a Big Ten game. It wasn't against Michigan State. Maybe Rutgers? Let's say Rutgers was JJ's best game, second best game. I'll go Iowa, number one. That's what I'm looking at. Okay, let's see what else that we're looking at. Oh, here's a prediction. 30-17. I am predicting this game to OSU. A lot because of the uncertainty with Michigan's skill positions, specifically their running backs and some of the players on defense. But you know what this does? It kind of makes me a Debbie Downer. Predicting Ohio State to win the game is a real downer prediction. It's not anything that anybody wants to hear about me picking Ohio State to win the game. That sounds like a terrible thing to do. I'll put my picture in there as a Debbie Downer. Let's change it even again to a Dennis Downer. Predicting Michigan. So let's just change that. I you know, the injury situation, you know, everybody here is picking me up, making me feel like, you know, those guys are all going to play. So let's flip it. Michigan 31, Ohio State 30. That's the way it's done. That's how you switch things around. That's how you get it going in your favor. Let's see what Hadley. Do you think if Michigan loses a close one and USC wins out, that'll make the top four and Michigan is left out? Well, it depends. I mean, if TCU goes undefeated, they're going to get one of those spots, Hadley. If USC wins out and Michigan has one loss because USC wins the Pac-12 and they're playing Notre Dame and they're going to play Oregon and they're going to have that Pac-12 championship. They like balancing the country. USC's a big enough name. They're going to have Caleb Williams, who right now is the front runner for the Heisman Trophy. I think for sure that the committee would pick USC. They've got the brand. They got everything that you're looking for if you're the committee. Cachet, balance the country, you know, being West Coast. USC's as big of a brand as anybody. You know, that's it. They're masquerading as Lincoln Riley's Oklahoma team. They don't have any defense, but here they are going to have the Heisman Trophy winner. I think for sure that they would take USC. So you need USC to lose one of these two games. It wouldn't hurt to see TCU to lose their Big 12 championship game. It wouldn't hurt to see Clemson lose one of these two games that they have remaining. That's those are some things to look for. Let's see Clemson lose. Let's see TCU lose. And let's see USC lose. Those things happen. And, you know, you're talking about being able to backdoor the college football playoff, regardless of what Boo Corrigan or Antoine thinks of the schedule. Well, I think they would be able to get in there. There's D Original wants to control the field position. He said that earlier in the week. And if we are sitting around talking about this game being old school and Michigan, running the football and all that, being able to control the field position, I think that you're good. I think you're right. People are, crossing their fingers on Blake Corum. See Darby, if Michigan beats OSU tomorrow and we play in the playoffs, whoever can show up, Michigan needs to show up. We need to have a bigger presence than Ohio State fans. Yeah, Darby, I feel like Michigan travels pretty well. I feel like if Michigan gets into the college football playoff, that they'll travel. I don't know. The Buckeyes, I don't know how many of those guys have jobs. And so I think that they all just jump on, like they all jump in back of each other's trucks, and then they go down. So it is tough. A bunch of ne'er-do-wells. They hit the lottery, and then they go down and spend all their money on semifinal tickets. Not a lot you can do about that. But I think Michigan will travel. D. Brown getting in late, talking about is Corum good enough to be effective. So, yeah, look, you got your fingers crossed. Let's see. You getting $5, Dennis? You don't know about the super chat. You got one a couple days ago. What do you mean? No, I don't know about the super chat, Antoine. I guess I'm going to have to look into that. That would be super duper, huh? How about it? Trash takes. Okay. One more here. Wayne has no confidence in this offense with dual coordinators. They have no rhythm in the passing game and have not seen any quarterback development. That thinks this team can win if OSU stops the run. I don't know. He kind of cut off there. Yeah, look, there have been people complaining all along the way, Wayne, and, the thing about the co-offensive coordinators or dual offensive coordinators, I weighed on this. I don't really believe it's true. I don't think, like you talk it out with yourself. And it's not really that, Jim Harbaugh is lying about it. I think they do have a lot of say, and I do think they, but they both have the title. And they may come down when they're scripting their plays and they say, hey, what do you think the run? What do you think about the pass? Is there enough time? Let's just say if I'm Matt Weiss and I've got the play sheet and I'm thinking about, okay, I want to run a pass here. Next down, I'm going to have a run. Do I go over Sharon? I need a run. Can you, no, I think it's collaborative in that, Sharon, has the plays that he wants to run. And why do I think they do this? I think having the title is it's important for these coaches. Let's say here in the off season, I hope that all the coaches stay where they're at if they win, and however it works out. I like this coaching staff. I hope they all stay. Meanwhile, you're always looking if you can get a head coaching job. Let's say you're Sharon Moore. If there was a team out there that was thinking about, getting Sharon Moore and making him their head coach, Sharon Moore would probably have to take that job, and having the title of co-offensive coordinator, that helps, that helps having it on the resume. But I think during the game, when they're actually, I say push comes to shove and they're calling the plays, I think one of the guys are calling the plays. Do I think that there may have been, because, here I said I wasn't going to talk about it, I'm talking about it again. Do I think in the non-conference schedule, because of the ease of the teams, do I think that they may have played around with it a little bit? Maybe. But I think that because of some confusion and setting yourself up for criticism, I think now let me back up. Because the setting yourself up for criticism, if Michigan, if they lose a game, what Wayne is saying, and everybody else automatically they're going to get criticized. Dual coordinators. It's there. But I think Harbaugh is like, who cares about that? Because we are kind of collaborative, but one of the guys is calling the shots when he's calling the plays. I just don't think there's time enough. You try to walk through the amount of time that you have to get a play, you get your next play in, and you're going out. When you got one guy up in the booth and one guy here, yeah, they're talking back and forth. Maybe, hey, what play do you like? But one of the guys deciding. Or are they saying, like, you take this series and I'll take the next series? How much sense does that make, really? I'm going to tell you what I think about if it makes any sense to have one guy calling one series and one guy calling the other series. I think that doesn't make any sense. I do think that when you are a play caller, you have to have a rhythm to it. You have to call a play sometimes to set up another play. One time you're calling a play in the first quarter to set something up in the third quarter. All of this as a play caller is a rhythm, is something that it's why you have a quarterback throw a short pass to get him in rhythm. It's why, as a play caller, you are in rhythm. It's why you shouldn't rotate quarterbacks. It's why they don't rotate quarterbacks, because it breaks the rhythm up of the team, of the position. So I don't think it happens. And I don't think it happens over on the defensive side. Everybody focuses on the offensive side, but the defensive side, I don't think you can do that either. What are they, alternating plays? Hey, Steve Clinksdale, like, he's going to come out and he's going to call the first defensive set for the first defensive series, first play of the third quarter. And then Jesse Minter is going to call the second defensive play, and they're going to alternate. What kind of sense would that make? Zero. It would make zero. But when you listen to Clink, like, they have the assistants, they'll throughout the year. I think, like, I really like, out of all of the coaches, I like listening to Steve Clinksdale the most. I just like connect with him. Like, I want to play for him. He at the same time of being able to speak from the heart, he mixes in the, enough X's and O's where it just resonates with me. I like it. I think he'd make a great head coach one day. I'd love to play for him, that kind of stuff. But when you listen to him talk, a lot of the questions from the media would be like, Clinkscale is the co-defensive coordinator, but he is also a DB coach. Most of the questions come to him, are specific to DBs. But you'll notice once in a while he'll be like, he'll have something to say about the D line and also the linebackers. He's in the mix with putting plays in and concepts, and in the meeting room, I think that is where it is collaborative. I think the specific play call is not. I don't know if you agree with that or not, Wayne, but that's how I see it. And everybody can have their own opinion on that. That's mine. Wayne says the loss of Josh Gaddis has regressed our passing game and the development of our receivers. Yeah, I don't think that. I think that, Gaddis called a wonderful game last year against Ohio State. Boy, you talk about a rhythm and just feeling it as a play caller and just having a real Michelangelo type, of game. That was it for Coach Gaddis. And certainly he was a wide receiver coach along with an offensive coordinator. But what you're talking about, Wayne, is McCarthy. And then, you have the addition of another wide receiver. They have more talent there. Instead of putting it on the coaches, I know a lot of people, I think a lot of people agree with you, maybe not with Gaddis, because I think most Michigan fans are like, Gaddis sucks. Look at what he's doing at Miami. Look at the U. They blow. Get him out of here. I think most people, feel like that. I think a lot of that's unfair, but whatever. I'm just telling you how Michigan fans feel about it. You've got a different quarterback. I don't think it's like, I know a lot of people like to talk about the route trees. I don't think it's that. Um, Separation with the wide receivers could be a little bit there. I think it comes down to catching the football when it comes down to the wide receivers. I think it's throwing a catchable pass, a more catchable pass if you're the quarterback. All of that other stuff, I'm putting it on 70% the quarterback, 30% the wide receivers. I'm putting 0 on the coaches. I don't think it's the route trees. I don't think, now you get some separation. There were some separation in some of those throws, and then they missed them. They overshot them. When it comes down to throwing the football, you throw the football and you put it on the receiver and he catches it. That's really a simple. You guys are all like, let's see some double moves. Let's see some combinations. Let's see route trees. That's not where I'm at with it. You watch enough football, good quarterbacks are able to put the ball, even if a guy's covered, they throw him open. Even if the guy's covered, they put it on the receiver enough where he has an opportunity. And oh, yeah, that 30% with the wide receivers, they catch the ball sometimes, even when it's coming in hot. Sometimes they get over there like, Cornelius Johnson could have come up. It was a hot, bad trajectory. And, one of these, and he went up and it went through his hands. It was not a beautiful pass. He could have caught it. I think of 2 catches that Andrell Anthony, of course, the one against Illinois, he put his hands up and it went right through his hands. It wasn't it was close to. Let's be honest. Andrell Anthony should have caught that pass. But there was another one against Rutgers where he dove and it just went off of his fingertips. He should have had that one too. You can make a case, but it wasn't the most picture perfect pass. Could have been a little bit better from JJ. There have been some other ones that he just overshot his guy by 5 or 10 yards. That has nothing to do with Josh Gaddis. That has nothing to do with the wide receivers. That has nothing to do with Ron Bellamy. That has nothing to do with Matt Weiss. That has nothing to do with Sharon Moore or Jim Harbaugh. It has to do with number 9, throwing the ball. And it had to do with number 1, catching the ball. Or number 6, not catching the ball. Well, you can sit around discussing that all day long, but, like you guys, there's a lot of people that want to put it on. But I think a lot of people just look for excuses, or you put it on the coaches. Should the coaches be like, hey, what you really want to do is catch the ball a little bit better, squeeze the ball a little bit better. What you really want to do is throw the ball a little bit better. They work on that. It's not the routes. You're talking yourself into it. That's where I'm at. CJ wants more of a blitz. USC isn't going to win out, says Matt. Don says, just go out there and win. There you go, Don. Just win. Just win the game. The Originals picking Michigan, 31-27. He doesn't think OSU could stop Michigan's running attack. Derek got a Michigan win. D. Brown, never a doubt, with a Michigan win. Now we just have, I must have missed the jokes. I agree with this one. Whoever wins will be in the, he's just saying we'll have the Heisman. Yeah, Stroud or Corum could win the Heisman. Remember, Caleb Williams is in the mix. He is right there. Williams, Stroud, Corum. 2 of those guys play tomorrow. Hadley, going to be a downer. Yeah, he's not going to be a downer. Michigan 30-28. Am I going to be doing the post-game chat after the game tomorrow? Hadley? I want to remind everyone that tomorrow after the game, the Michigan Football Post-Game Live will be in full effect. We will talk about what transpires out on the field. We will go over it. We'll talk about it all tomorrow after the game. I'm going to watch some football. There's update on Blake Corum, the best update up to the most information on the Maize and Blue Review. Corey, go there. Go to michigan.rivals.com, sign up. All the latest injury news, the latest, it's all there. Donovan Edwards as well. And, that's it. That's it. Andres, we're going to leave it there. We will talk tomorrow. Hope to see everybody there. The rest of the day, we got some football on. If I missed anything soccer-wise, I had one more thing. I'm looking at it here because we do have some breaking news. Let's go to the Michigan football Twitter page. I have that screen in front of me. There it is, Michigan football Twitter page. They have 947,000 followers. Wow. 11 national championships. All right. That's not important. Oh, look at this. They got a pinned tweet. The game. There it is, right up front. Mozzie Smith. Right there. Is that Agent Zero up front? That's good. November the 28th. Is that what it says? Number 26th. Like 28th. What's that? Okay, here's what I wanted to get to. 1 hour ago, they revealed the uniforms. Ooh, they're taking them out of the ice box. That means they're cold. That means it's good, right? Bad is good sometimes. Ice. There's the Michigan uniforms for tomorrow. They are white on white. They are looking pretty good with that. You've got Michael Barrett showing those uniforms. Let's see that ice again. That's it. See it. Chestnut, number 23. Like that maize and blue piping. On some of those gloves. Get your muscles out. Yeah, you get in there. There they are. Hey, aren't those gloves going to be like wet in the uniform? No, they're just cold. Those are the unis. All that's left now is to go out there and win the game. Thanks for watching, participating. We're live weekdays at 1 o'clock talking about the latest in Michigan sports. If you don't get a chance after the game, you can fire up the podcast at any point over the weekend. That'll be available for you. It's there on YouTube. It's there live after the game if you want to participate. Oh, yeah, if you want to call in after the game, I open up spaces. If you don't know what that is, go on Twitter. Sign up for Twitter. It's free, at least right now, until Elon Musk, starts charging you. It's free to just sign up. And then the only thing you have to do when we're on the Maize and Blue Review, you go in up at the top, you'll see my name, Dennis 50. I'll open it up. And you're like, I want to talk. And we go to you. Take your calls after the game. We read your messages after the game. We will we'll be on tomorrow. If it goes well we're going to be on any way it goes. But we might be on. We'll set records tomorrow. Comes out the way that everybody's anticipating it coming out. Be on for a while. Talking about Michigan heading to the Big Ten championship game with a win over Ohio State. That'll do it. Everybody have a great day. And we'll see you tomorrow after the game. Have a great afternoon.